The Where Our Minds Wander podcast may contain sensitive content and explicit language. Listener discretion is advised. Greetings, fellow wanderers, to the places our minds wander.
The house at the end of the dirt road, where disembodied voices whisper and strange sounds make the living shiver.
Where shadows lurk at the edge of the woods, just outside your back door. And mysterious lights speed beyond reason across the clear night sky.
Odd events throughout time that lead you down the rabbit hole.
I'm Wes.
And I'm Beth.
And this is Where Our Minds Wander. Hello and welcome to Where Our Minds Wander, all you fellow wanderers. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, hello everybody. And we hope everybody that had Monday off as a holiday got to enjoy the day as much as we did.
Yeah, short week for work.
I know.
4 days.
I know. Long weekend for relaxing and having a good time.
And that we did.
We did.
And you know, what was really cool is that, I would say 90% of our show is cryptids, UFOs, mysteries, and we really haven't had a fun episode in quite a while.
No, we haven't. And I had said that to you that, for you guys that are listening, you get a weekly dose of the supernatural and the creepy. But for us, we live at 365 days a year because if we're not recording, we're researching. And if we're not researching, we're watching documentaries and stuff. So every once in a while, it feels good to do something a little different, something that's not dark and creepy.
Yeah. And this is going to be a fun episode. It's about Wacky Museums tonight.
Yes.
Why don't you get us started?
All right.
We don't have any housekeeping tonight.
No. So a lot of people like to collect things as a hobby. And I mean, we certainly do. We are what our friend Christina calls maximalists, supposedly, because every surface in our house is covered with our many collections. And it's just because we like having a lot of odd things to look at, but it's also a lot to dust.
Yeah, tell me about it.
I know. But, we also live in an old house, so it's dusty all the time.
Yeah, even without the windows open, there's dust. I don't know where the hell it comes from, but it's incredible the amount of dust that collects in this house.
It's us, honey. We're old and dusty.
It's you shedding. Certainly not me.
The different things that we collect run the gamut from old toy trains to inkwells to bigger things like lamps and armchairs. But sometimes people focus on just one type of item. And sometimes that collection becomes so massive that they actually open a museum. So tonight, we thought we'd look at 4 different museums that are a little odd, a little funny, but very impressive. All 4 might seem a little wacky, but that's why we picked them. To start off, Wes and I like a banana now and then. I think a lot of people do. We use them in smoothies, and I do like to bring one in my lunch every once in a while. But when I came across this teaser from the main page of this museum's website, it made me laugh because I do enjoy a bunch of puns.
Oh, that you do. You're so childlike.
That was a pun. You just didn't get it yet.
Well, our humor is vastly different.
But we do laugh at the same things sometimes.
Oh, yeah. I laugh at what you're laughing at because I don't know how you find it funny.
So you're just laughing at me.
Well, kind of, yes.
So the teaser on this website says, quote, Come and marvel at our world record collection. We have over 25,000 banana-related items and pictures residing at our museum. After your eyes have split over our appealing atmosphere, stop by our banana bar and order a bunch of tasty treats like our homemade banana ice cream and our delicious banana milkshakes. Then, when the time is ripe, dress up in our array of banana-ware and go bananas as you take some fun-filled pictures in front of our giant banana statue. Afterwards, feel free to check out our banana-rific merchandise before you head home so you can leave peeling great. So what are you waiting for? It's time for you to go bananas.
Oh my God. Somebody put a lot of effort into that.
It's awesome.
But banana ice cream does sound delicious.
I love banana pancakes. They're scrumptious.
I haven't had those.
Oh, well, I'll make them for you sometime. You'll probably say you don't like them, but I'll make them. According to Atlas Obscura, the International Banana Museum all began in 1972 when Ken Bannister, a vice president of a manufacturing company, was at a photography convention. Before he'd left for the convention, his secretary had given him a roll of 10,000 Chiquita banana stickers that her husband had picked up on the Long Beach docks. Hoping to make people smile, he handed the stickers to everyone he met. And his reasoning was pretty funny. He said that since bananas are shaped like smiles, he hoped the stickers would bring a smile to everyone's face. He also told people that if they stuck the sticker on their ID badge, they'd get a discount at certain tables. It apparently worked because after the convention, Bannister started getting all kinds of banana-themed gifts in the mail. Happy that he was making others happy, Bannister began referring to himself as Bananister and TB, which was short for Top Banana. The whole thing was so silly, yet so popular, that Bannister decided to found the International Banana Club. Members could come up with their own banana-themed nickname, and membership was ranked by how many banana-themed items a person donated. They earn BNs, or banana merits, and can even reach the level of PhD, or a doctorate of bananistry degree.
That's awesome. And it all started with a sticker.
I know.
Who would have thought it'd go from there?
Nobody, probably. It was all good fun, of course, and members of the club included, get this, former President Ronald Reagan and Jay Leno.
Who'd have thunk it?
I know.
Leno, I could see. Reagan?
Yeah, that's what it says. By 1976, Bannister's collection of banana items, like a banana-shaped couch, multiple plush bananas, and various signs, advertisements, and kitschy keychains and magnets, was too big for his house, and he decided to rent a building in Altadena for the first ever International Banana Museum. The museum held thousands of items, including a banana covered in gold, a banana boogie board, and banana ears. Bannister also scored the only petrified banana in the world, which was discovered by a young girl in Kentucky in the back of her closet.
Oh, my God. That's the kind of place I bet you could go to and say, hey, is that a banana in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? And you'd fit right in.
Well, that actually leads directly into what I was going to say next. Bananas, although Bannister, I almost said bananister, started it all because he said the fruit looked like a smile. As we all know, bananas can look like something else. So, of course, he received some rather lewd items as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, you figured that would happen.
it's got to happen.
Like a banana and 2 oranges.
Oranges, really? Maybe a banana and plums.
Depends how big the banana is.
By 1999, he had well over 17,000 items in his museum, as well as a banana bar that served all kinds of food and drink related to bananas. The Guinness Book of World Records honored the museum with the honor of being the world's largest collection dedicated to just one fruit. The club had 35,000 members in 17 countries. And boy, did they ever love their bananas. I got this from the official website, and it also made me smile. Quote, "We have always recommended that everyone eat one banana first thing in the morning and get that energy charge with the 98 quick calories, the many vitamins, the fiber, and other benefits the banana offers us all. And for only about 12 cents. They come in their own wrapper, don't squeak, leak, or squirt, and no bones."
Oh my God. Don't squeak, leak, or squirt.
And no bones.
Who could ask for more?
I know. And I have to say that when I copied and pasted it into the episode, it pasted in all caps, and it was highlighted in bright banana yellow.
Oh my God.
In 2005, Bannister decided to move the museum to Hesperia. The town had agreed to give him a museum space rent-free. 5 years later, however, the Recreation and Park District asked him to move out so they could use the space for something else. At that point, Bannister decided to put the entire collection up on eBay as one lot with the price of $45,000. It's puzzling to me, but there were no takers, and he lowered the price to just $7,500. In 2010, Fred Garbett bought the collection for an undisclosed amount, although sources say it was for less than the $7,500. And he moved the entire collection to a new home in Mecca, California. Garbett became the new curator, according to visitcalifornia.com, and the collection has grown to between 20,000 and 25,000 items, depending on the source. There is a Go Bananas slot machine and road crossing signs for banana slugs. There are vintage 1960s VW Bug ads featuring a yellow Volkswagen and a male model dressed in yellow wearing banana yellow sunglasses. Garbett said in the article that people sometimes refer to the collection as bananabilia and are always surprised by just how many items they have and how varied they are. The banana bar served exactly what you'd expect: banana milkshakes, banana bread, and banana splits. Now, before you drive to Mecca to visit the museum, we have to sadly say that since the COVID pandemic, the museum has been closed. There's no word on whether there are plans to reopen it, but I certainly hope so. You can still become a member of the club, though. All you have to do is Google it, and for $15, you can become a card-carrying member.
That's pretty incredible.
I know.
I can't believe I've never heard of this.
I know. You would think that Jay Leno must have mentioned it on his show when he became a member.
I stopped watching at Carson. I
Yeah.
gave up after that.
Yeah.
I never watched Leno.
And I think Bannister was on a few talk shows. It may have even been Jay Leno, because I saw a still photo of him on a talk show holding up a banana, but I don't remember who the host was in the picture.
Interesting.
Yeah. So now we're going to head from the West Coast to the East Coast, to Middleburg, New York, to a 2-story, flat-roofed Italianate-style home built in 1884. According to CBS6Albany.com, the Dr. Christopher S. Best House and Office is a medical museum that truly looks as if a 19th century doctor and his family still live and work in the home. There's a fully stocked kitchen, an exam room, medicines that treat illnesses that no longer exist, and scores of medical tools and equipment that seem downright archaic, including a rare electrostatic machine that was believed to shock people out of headaches and acne. The tables are covered in handwritten prescriptions, and a doctor's bag sits on the floor as if it's just waiting to be picked up and carried off for a house call. It's a true time capsule for American medical history. 2 generations of doctors lived and worked in the house. From 1884 to the 1990s, Dr. Christopher Best, his second wife Ursula, and their 2 children lived in the house first. They mixed medicines in the basement, which they prescribed through the in-house pharmacy, and Dr. Best saw patients and performed surgeries in his in-house office. According to the Middleburg Library website, the Bests were very involved in the Middleburg community. Dr. Best founded the Middleburg Telephone Company in 1897 and served as its president until 1934. He was also president of the Middleburg and Schoharie Railroad. Dr. Christopher Best's son, Dr. Duncan Best, carried on the medical practice in the house after his father passed away. In fact, his mother Ursula and sister Emma passed away in the house too, but we'll get to that in a minute. Emma taught piano lessons in the house while her brother tended to the community's medical needs. In fact, he continued to practice out of the house until 1986. In 1991, he bequeathed the house to the Middleburg Public Library with the understanding that they would turn the house into a museum. The house was already full with hundreds of medical items his father had collected over the years and stored for the purpose of showcasing medical history in their community. Now, looking like a time capsule is cool enough, but the Dr. Christopher S. Best House and Office is also known for being very haunted. According to the HuffPost.com, both employees and people who have lived in the house claim to hear a piano playing when no one is around, and the sound of footsteps running throughout the house. They also claim to hear disembodied voices in the middle of conversations, and they see apparitions. According to the CBS 6 article, staff have a photograph taken 30 years ago in the parlor that shows a foggy silhouette of a woman dressed in Victorian clothing. The story goes that there wasn't anyone in the room when the photo was taken, so perhaps it's Ursula Best. The museum is a popular spot for paranormal investigations, which is cool. But if you're also interested in all kinds of medical tools and devices from the 1800s, it's definitely the best place to go see them. Each room still looks like it did in the early 1900s. Enamel bowls filled with all kinds of scissors and needle-like tools sit on top of worn wooden desks. Books filled with cramped cursive writing and shelves crammed with medical textbooks are there for you to look at. Glass medicine bottles line the shelves as well, filled with various pills and powders. The Dr. Christopher S. Best House and Office is open every Sunday in June through Labor Day. It's definitely fascinating, but it's also a little creepy because you know that hundreds of people, if not thousands, came to that house for all kinds of procedures, surgeries, and ailments. And we're touched by all those various tools in an attempt to diagnose them, treat them, and save them. And speaking of saving, our third Wacky Museum choice was created entirely with the purpose of saving the sort of item that might give some people nightmares. And we'll get into it right after this quick break. Hey, did you know? It's no surprise that the Louvre is the most visited museum in the world, with almost 9 million visitors a year. But what about the least visited museum? That honor goes to Scott's Hut in Antarctica. Preserved by the harsh climate, the hut looks exactly as it did in 1911 when it was built during Robert Falcon Scott's expedition on Ross Island near Mount Erebus, an active volcano. Ernest Shackleton abandoned the hut in 1917. But due to its isolated location, it still contains original enamel mugs, boxes of provisions, and some personal effects. Who'da thunk it?
All right, we're back. And before the break, we teased you a little with the item this next museum has over 1,000 of. It's one of those things that people are known to have a phobia for. No, it's not dolls. It's something a notch above that. Ventriloquist dummies. Now, I'm not afraid of ventriloquist dummies at all, but looking at the pictures of the dummies, all seated next to each other, in one room of the Vent Haven Museum in Fort Mitchell, Kentucky, was enough to make me even cringe a little bit. Just picture 1,000 figures sitting shoulder to shoulder across 6 rows of risers, with their plastered smiles and 2,000 lifeless eyes staring at you. And it's easy to imagine that one of them could easily turn its head on its own. Not that anyone has ever claimed that that's actually happened to them. Cincinnati native William Shakespeare Berger, who went by his initials W.S., was 17 years old in 1895 when he started working in the Cambridge Tile Company mailroom. During his off hours, he'd go watch his father perform on stage. It was during his father's performances that W.S. first became intrigued by ventriloquist dummies, and in 1910, he bought his very first one, a Tommy Baloney, for $10. With its red hair, high-button shoes, and red bow tie, it looks kind of like a classic street urchin or newsboy from that time period. W.S. was not a professional ventriloquist himself, but he certainly did take his collecting seriously. In 1947, after he retired from being president of the Cambridge Tile Company, he renovated his garage to hold his growing collection. He also became president of the International Brotherhood of Ventriloquists and helped the organization grow from just 300 members to over 1,000. He published a monthly magazine called The Oracle for a decade, and he also kept in such good contact with ventriloquists all over the world that he wrote an average of 50 letters a week. His collection soon outgrew the confines of his garage, and in the 1960s, he built a second building to house the museum. When he passed away in 1972, his collection had grown to 500 dummies. Today, the collection includes 1,145 dummies from 20 different countries, as well as 1,500 books and over 5,000 programs, newspaper articles, scripts, and photographs. The dummies themselves are a mixture of both original performance pieces and replicas. Some of the replicas include Sherry Lewis's Lamb Chop, Edgar Bergen's Charlie McCarthy, and Paul Winchell's Jerry Mahoney, and Knucklehead Smith. The original performance dummies in the collection include Jeff Dunham's Walter and Peanut. Darcy Lynn's Petunia and Oscar are also there. And then there's the 4 dummies recovered from the Gulf of Mexico in 1908. Believed to have once belonged to ventriloquist William Wood, who along with his daughter died in a mysterious tugboat accident, the dummies washed ashore and wound up in Berger's museum. William Wood was quite the character, and I think we will probably do an episode on him at some point. But anyway, according to Atlas Obscura, the real stars of the museum are the not-so-famous dummies, the ones that are a little scarier looking and a little worse for wear, like the one belonging to Eric Everty. Everty was working as a ventriloquist before being shipped overseas during World War II. Taken in as a POW in a Russian prison camp, he decided to try and cheer up his fellow prisoners by whittling a hunk of firewood into a dummy. Using just a pocket knife, he created a rather crude-looking dummy head. The body was made out of nothing more than newspaper, and its eyes were made from tar that he had warmed up in his hand, then rolled into balls and pushed into the wooden eye sockets. When he was finally liberated from the camp, Everty sent the dummy directly to W.S. Berger. W.S. outlived his wife, son, and grandson, and before his death, he set up a charitable foundation that would ensure that his collection was never broken up or sold off. So, the Vent Haven Museum is still open to the public every year from May to September, and if you call ahead and make a reservation, you can go see his impressive collection. Now, that brings us to the 4th and final strange museum. Now, I want you to think about hair for a minute. We spend a lot of money on our hair, from shampoos to styling products to haircuts, and some celebrities' hairstyles have even inspired an entire generation of copycats. But on the other hand, when a single strand of someone's hair ends up in your food or on your shower soap, we tend to be grossed out, even if it's the hair of someone we love. Now, imagine cutting a lock of hair from someone who has died and using all kinds of miniature tools to turn that hair into an intricate knot or flower that you can wear as jewelry. Or maybe you have so much hair from multiple people in your family who have passed away that you can make an actual wreath out of it. These hair wreaths and hair jewelry end up in antique stores, and I'd bet a good number of people are a little wigged out, no pun intended, when they realize that they're looking at something made entirely out of human hair from a person who has been dead for 100 years. Some might find it a little morbid, but not Layla Cahill, the curator of Layla's Hair Museum in Independence, Missouri. A former hairdresser and cosmetology teacher, Layla began collecting hair in 1956. As it turns out, fashioning hair into jewelry goes as far back as the 17th century. And if you think about it, it makes sense. Photography certainly didn't exist. And sitting for a portrait painting could take months. So when people wanted to celebrate an important event like a wedding or remember a loved one who had passed away, they would use hair. The Victorians really clung to this trend and made pretty much everything you can think of out of human hair, not just the wreaths I mentioned earlier. They would make rings, brooches, lockets, bracelets, and pendants. But they'd also make good-sized hair paintings, using human hair to make landscape scenes that they'd frame and hang on a wall. Layla first turned her collection into an exhibit right in her house back in 1986. But by 1990, she had so many pieces that she moved her collection to the front room of the Independent School of Cosmetology, which she founded herself in 1960. The museum's current location on South Nolan Road has several rooms, all of which are covered floor to ceiling with examples of hair art. There are over 700 hair wreaths and over 2,000 pieces of hair jewelry that she has collected from all over the world. By using over 30 different hair twisting and knotting techniques, the creators of each piece were able to transform human hair into flowers, human figures, and animals. Layla has learned 30 of the techniques herself, according to thisbelongsamuseum.com. And as of the article's publication, which unfortunately didn't have a date, there were just 5 techniques that she hadn't figured out how to do yet. Some of her more notable pieces are a framed piece containing hair from every single member of a chapter of the League of Women Voters, and another piece that holds the hair of 2 sisters right before they entered the convent. Her oldest piece is a hair brooch from 1680. But her hair museum doesn't just include hair art, it also contains the locks of some pretty important historical figures. Layla has strands of hair from Michael Jackson, Elvis Presley, George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, Daniel Webster, Aaron Burr, Marilyn Monroe, singer Jenny Lind, and abolitionist John Brown.
That's amazing.
It really is. Can you imagine having locks of hair from George Washington?
And his actual hair, not his wig. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
It's unimaginable to me.
I know. And that brooch that you had mentioned from 1680, I mean, that's someone's hair from 1680.
Yeah.
It's fascinating to me.
Well, when we did the episode on Victorian deaths, we covered a little bit of this.
We did.
So, not all the pieces are made from human hair. Some are made from the hair of beloved pets and animals.
Oh, I could see that, because obviously you can't take a photograph of your pet either. So to make a bracelet or a ring that has, like, your poodle's
Yeah, I
fur.
could see where that would be very popular.
Yeah.
Even to this day.
Yeah.
Antique hair art isn't all the museum has to offer either. Layla also exhibits modern hair art, where contemporary artists have constructed their own hair jewelry and even hair sculptures. She even offers classes on how to create your own hair art, which I think is pretty cool.
I would go take that class.
I know you would.
I'd be cutting off your hair while you were sleeping.
Good luck with that.
Bringing it in a little baggie.
I pretty much shaved it all off. Imagine bringing in hair from your first child's haircut and making something out of it, rather than leaving it in an old envelope that could accidentally be thrown out. But maybe you do still find it morbid or odd. And that's fine, because the Smithsonian Institute certainly doesn't find her collection odd. In fact, according to Layla, they've asked to have it several times. Layla doesn't want to do that, though. She would rather keep it on display in Independence, where anyone can see it, rather than tucked away in boxes in some climate-controlled archive room of the Smithsonian. And that would be sad, because it's much better where it is, where, according to the museum website, everyone can see the intricate world of hair artistry, and visitors can explore the enchanting history and creativity woven into every strand. So, no matter what you collect, whether it's Pez dispensers, salt and pepper shakers, or paper clips, if you love it enough and have way more stuff than you have room for in your house, why not open up a museum where other people can come and see your collection and enjoy it also? I think every town needs its own weird and wacky museum. Don't you?
I do. I'm not sure why you gave me that face that looked like, what was the name of the turtle on, it was a cartoon and he was a turtle.
I know the one you're speaking of.
Franklin the turtle.
My God, that goes way back.
You know, this is kind of embarrassing, but several years ago, when I was driving to work in the morning, I started seeing these signs for a Barbie museum. And I thought, that's so cool that somebody local has so many Barbies. They probably have them all the way back to the 1950s.
Oh, my God. Let me stop you here. It was the Babby Museum.
Well, don't ruin my story.
I didn't ruin it.
You kind of ruined it.
Barbie.
So I went to work, now that he's ruined my story, and started telling my coworkers about this Barbie museum that I couldn't wait to go see. And they're all asking me where it was. And then they were all laughing at me because I'd misread the sign. As you said, it was the Babby Museum.
Did they have pink tractors out front?
I've never been to the Babby Museum. But apparently 4th graders all over our county go to the Babby Museum.
Yeah, you've never been there with your kids?
No.
Oh, I would have thought that maybe your class would have went because I always went with my kids when they had that little field trip to the Babby Museum. For some of you that don't know, it's a local museum that really, it's tractors and a lot of the old tools and everything that were used on the farm around here, the Babby farm.
Yeah, it's a farm museum.
It's pretty cool, though. The kids find it interesting.
Not Barbie dolls.
No.
Well, anyway, I just thought I'd share that I thought our little town had its own wacky museum, and turns out not so much.
No, not so much.
All right, everybody, we will see you soon for an all-new episode of Where Our Minds Wander.
That's my line.
I know, I took it.
See you soon.
Thank you for joining us. We look forward to traveling with you again to the places where our minds wander.
If you like what you heard, please take a moment and provide us with a 5-star rating and a comment on your favorite listening platform. It really helps us move up the list and become more visible on the podcast charts so new people can find us.
And thank you all for your continued support.
See you next week for an all-new episode.